All right. Hey, everybody. It is Diaspora TV, episode 2 from It's Deeper Than Travel. If you're a part of the It's Deeper Than Travel family, join us, share this, put I'm tripping in the comments so that we know that you're there. If you're not a part of the It's Deeper Than Travel family, put what's tripping so that we can share a little bit about what that is. My name is Inez Nelson. I'm the founder of It's Deeper Than Travel. We are a travel company that plans service travel, learning travel to specific places in the African diaspora. So that includes Africa, Central America, South America, and the Caribbean, all of the places where Black people were taken throughout the world. And we specifically go there so that we can try to reconnect people to the diaspora, the cultures, the cuisines, and the communities there. If you are up, I see a like, thank you. If you're joining us for the first time, check out after we post this one, we're gonna have a re-edit of episode 1. Facebook was not nice to us, and the Wi-Fi and WeWork was not nice to us. So we're gonna relaunch the episode 1 version so that you can see it a bit better. It's a dope video. It tells a little bit about who we are, why we are traveling to the places that we're traveling, and what our mission is. Our vision is to be a champion in the story of how Pan-Africans experience each other, and we do that through immersive events, and we also do that through immersive travel. So today, we wanted to talk a little bit about one of the main things that we focus on with It's Deeper Than Travel, and that is apprehension to affinity. So with the people who are a part of our IDTT family, these are professionals 25 to 45. Most of them are Pan-African, so that means they're usually from Africa, Central America, South America, or the Caribbean. They are usually professionals who work in some manner, and they're also people who are interested in their ancestry, the identity of being a Black person in the world in general. So what we like to do on our trips is focus on how do we allow these people to move from being apprehensive to having an affinity for the cultures, the cuisines, and the countries that we go to. So if you're not familiar, apprehension is kind of like a fear. So what are you scared of when you're going to a country, when you travel? If you know that there's something that stands out in your mind as something that makes you nervous, drop a comment here. At the top of my mind, I can think of some of the things that people have told me or that I've read about things that hinder people from traveling. One of the biggest ones I think is it being expensive. A lot of times people feel like they have to spend a lot of money to go travel, which depending on what type of traveling you're doing, you might actually have to spend a lot of money. But usually there are ways for you to travel and for it to be cost conscious, especially to places in the diaspora. Usually, if you originate in the U.S., you're going to be traveling using the U.S. dollar, and a lot of times the U.S. dollar, the currency, is worth more than the countries that you're visiting. So you may pay a lot for your flight because, of course, you're paying the airlines here. But once you pay for that, when you get in country, a lot of the things like accommodations, transportation, food, activities, they're not as expensive as you would think, especially since you're used to paying what you pay here in the U.S. So it's specifically, I can think about when we went to the Dominican Republic, it was significantly cheaper there because their currency is significantly less than the U.S. dollar. The biggest thing about valuing travel, the biggest thing about paying for travel and expensive travel is the value that you put on it. So in the same way that you value, whether it be clothes or maybe you value the movies, if you really want to travel, then you're going to have to make it a priority and you're going to have to add value to it. So make it a part of your budget, find ways to save in order to be able to create these experiences in your life, because they really do last forever and they give you the stories that you're able to share with your family, your friends, and your children. So although there are places that are expensive, a lot of times when you're traveling to the diaspora, it's not going to be as expensive as you think. Another apprehension or anxiety that people have specifically about traveling to countries that are Pan-African is that they're dangerous. this always kills me because a lot of times as Black and brown people, we live in neighborhoods or we grew up in neighborhoods that are also dangerous. So I'm always like, is it really that scary that it's going to be dangerous, or you just don't want to go? Like, truthfully, a city is a city, right? So the same way that you would carry yourself in Philadelphia or Brooklyn or DC or Baltimore, you should carry yourself when you're traveling in the diaspora as well. Like, make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure you don't go anywhere with anybody you don't necessarily know at all, or that you don't feel internally that you can trust. Just keep your third eye on. Like, just do the same things. It's not necessarily more dangerous. I mean, if you think about some of the violence that happens in the United States, significantly more violence here than it is in a lot of these countries that we would potentially be traveling to. So that kind of apprehension is something that I think people don't necessarily think about when they're traveling. They think, it's immediately dangerous because a lot of times the media portrays these countries as dangerous. But again, the media also portrays Chicago as dangerous, but that don't stop people from going to the Taste. So don't let that stop you from traveling either. Another thing specifically, I think more so for when people are traveling to the continent, is sickness or disease. A lot of times people are like, oh, like I have to get a whole lot of shots. If you think you have to get a lot of shots, let me know how many shots you think you have to get to go to certain countries on the continent. I will tell you, I've probably been to the continent at this point at least five times. To at least 3 different countries, and I have gotten a shot one time, like literally just one time. So definitely don't let that derail you from going to the continent, because it's not the case. Like, it depends on where you're going, and usually a lot of places you don't have to get shots at all. And truth be told, sometimes you're getting a shot because they don't want you getting them sick. So there's a lot of diseases that we carry here that if we were to go there, we're already immune to them and they're not. So when you're thinking about the shots that you're getting, sometimes it's for things that are there, but sometimes it's because you may potentially be bringing disease with you. So that's just something to consider. Another, I would say, apprehension that people have. Hey, Christina. Another apprehension I think people have about traveling to Pan-African countries is that it's going to be dirty. There's going to be trash everywhere. I'm not going to be able to have the same accommodations that I have at my house wherever I am. It's just, they don't have hotels. They're going to be in huts. We're going to be sleeping on the ground. We're going to be camping. And that's not the case either. Like, believe me, there is hotels in every country in Africa. There are hotels in South America. There are hotels in Central America, and there are definitely hotels and all-inclusives in the Caribbean. So you can choose the experience that you want to have, right? So if you want a luxury experience, you can find a luxury experience. If you want a more cost-conscious experience, you can find that too. If you want to go camping, best believe you can go camping in the Serengeti if you want to. Like, all of the options are there. So don't worry that you won't have the experience at all. Now, I will say that sometimes the experience that you choose may determine like how much of your comfort zone that you get. So for instance, maybe you don't choose the luxury hotel and you choose kind of like a more cross-country hotel. Depending on where you go, you may have to deal with hot water issues or whatever, but that's kind of expected due to the fact that some of these countries are less developed. But it's not like you're not going to be able to sleep in an actual bed when you go. That's not the case. And from a dirt perspective, like, a lot of the countries are cleaner than you would think. I remember going to some countries and really being like, I just don't see any trash or litter. And I think it's more so because of a standard that they have for themselves. When I think about, the places that I've lived in the United States, a lot of them have litter problems. So don't assume that it's going to be dirty. Don't assume that the people are going to be dirty. A lot of them are super hygienic. And it's just not the case. So those are some of the apprehensions that I know offhand. Drop some of the apprehensions that you may have, whether it be maybe you think you're not going to be able to understand the language, or you think that the people aren't going to accept you. We want to know what those apprehensions are. We are like really trying to be some myth busters here, because a lot of times the media just shows us one view of our people, and we just have to kind of accept it if we don't do our own due diligence and kind of dig that out. So those are some of the apprehensions that we know that we try to allow people to overcome, both internationally and nationally. So we will have like events here in the United States to kind of show a little bit about what the food would be like, what the music would be like, what the people are like, because really Black people are everywhere. So, you know, you can go to Ghana to meet Ghanaians, or you could go to Woodland Avenue in Philadelphia to meet Ghanaians. It's either way. So they're everywhere. You can trip wherever you are. For those who don't know what tripping is, it's a mentality. It's a call to action to unabashedly go against your comfort zone and explore cultures that aren't your own, that, you know, are Pan-African, but you're not familiar with. So that's what we call tripping. We stay tripping. You'll see us. We have some merch called that says I'm tripping. We have an event coming up that I'll tell you about next week that will be around tripping. So keep a lookout for that. And then from a affinity perspective, so we're moving from like our fears. What's the other side of it? It's affinity. So what we say is that we don't want you to like it. We want you to love it to the point that you make it your own and that you incorporate it into your life. And that's what affinity is. It's, you know, creating a natural liking for something where you prefer it over what your norm was. So we try to create that with our travelers, with our experiences, because, you know, as Black and brown people, we are more alike than we are different. And we like to highlight that about our cultures and about our community. So if you have questions about, you know, what is apprehension, what is affinity, definitely go back to the beginning of this video. Let us know if there are additional apprehensions that you have about traveling to, say, for instance, countries on the continent of Africa, or in the Caribbean, or in South America or Central America. Or even like let us know about the apprehensions you have about going to certain events in your city. I know sometimes there are other Pan-African events that are hosted by organizations that you may not be familiar with, that have demographics that you may not be familiar with. So let me know if there are any apprehensions that you have about those things as well. And that is it for today. Just real quick, you can find us everywhere at It's Deeper Than Travel. We'll be launching our website soon, www.itsdeeperthantravel.com. If you go there now, you can sign up for our newsletter, which gives you first dibs on our trips that we'll be releasing soon, first dibs on merch, as well as really good, cool content on traveling. You can find us on Instagram at It's Deeper Than Travel. And of course, if you're here, then you've already found us on Facebook at It's Deeper Than Travel. So welcome. Make sure you follow us. Keep up with us. We love to get feedback. Send us a message. We definitely will respond. And you still will have time to register for our special event. So keep your eye out for that coming at the end of the year. I hope you all are enjoying your week. It's almost Friday. So check us out. I look forward to seeing y'all. We'll be here every Thursday, 6 o'clock for Diaspora TV. We're out. Peace.